Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome everybody to the Flagstick Podcast. I'm Jeff Potter. He's Scott McLeod. And we're going to talk some golf with you. We've had a little bit of a week off due to the fact that somebody went back home to the eastern side of this great country and hung out in PEI for a while. But and we'll get to that because
we sure will.
It's always nice to talk PEI. This week podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Srixon Golf. Whether you're looking for a premium urethane option in the Z-Star series, a quality budget option in the soft field, or somewhere in between with the Q-Star, my favorite, Srixon Golf is bound to present an option that will work for your game. For more information, visit Srixon.ca. Let's make sure you're following us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and the Facebook. Please subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And obviously, we encourage you and continue to encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Boom, smash that notification bell, like us, and make sure you never miss a single episode. And all the great stuff is going up there right now. Golfing Around episodes are up there. Academy tips are up there. You know, there's no shortage of great stuff on the YouTube channel for you to partake upon.
Yes.
All right. What we're going to get into on the show this week is the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It is the playoffs. The regular season has concluded. The Wyndham has finished. The flurry of jockeying for position for the playoffs has ended, and we now have our full FedExCup Playoff Series field set. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the format. We're going to talk about the players that are in it. We're going to talk about our favorites, potentially. We're going to talk about those that didn't make it. And
more interesting.
What's that all about?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk maybe about some of the format changes that might come our way in 2028 when all this stuff switches around. And maybe some of our own opinions of what we think the playoffs should look like. Because I have kind of a cool one.
All right.
And we'll
Looking forward to that. All right.
But we have to get to our front nine, presented by Metcalfe Golf Club and Natural Setting, a pleasant challenge. It's a great time to think about the golf season that we have left. Still lots of it, so don't think that it's ending soon because it isn't. Game packages are always available for adults, juniors, and families. Be sure to check out any of the 50th anniversary specials. I know the Charity Classic, Metcalfe Charity Classic, is happening this week. In fact, as we're recording, it's happening today. And visit metcalfegolf.com. Stay in touch with your golf savings. All right. Here we are. Scotty Mac. Scotty Mac is back. Scott Mac is back from the island out east.
Yes.
Sadly, you played no golf.
I did. We did play no golf. I brought the clubs. My daughter and I both brought our clubs, but
there was all this discussion that the golf was going to happen.
Yeah, we had big intentions. We really did. And
we have pull out there, right?
Yeah, I know. But the problem is right there right now is that, when you go on vacation, you're trying to maybe get away from golf for a little bit, which is not hard to, it's hard to do. Well, whatever, just a little bit of a break. Just
You're
a little
PEI.
bit.
How did you expect to come close to getting away from golf?
It's hard to because you're driving past it nonstop or whatever. Yeah. But I will say it is so busy down there on the golf courses right now, and we had intentions of going and maybe playing like Crowbush or like we'll call it one of the bigger courses.
Yes,
they're so busy. Yeah. It was insane. Like I unfortunately, I wasn't smart enough to look at booking way far in advance and, got down to a few days in advance or whatever. And I mean, literally, there was no pull.
And you didn't say, do you know who I am?
No chance.
Have you ever pulled that card? I have never. 30 years of doing this magazine. And it's not like we have like this massive amount of clout when it comes to
but you have friends. You have friends, and I'm a PGA member as well. So
done the. Do you know who I am?
Oh no, would never do that.
Oh my god,
so.
how arrogant!
I mean, yeah, here's the thing. Even as a PGA member or whatever, obviously there's, some courtesies that happen within the industry, but you also recognize that, it's a short season down there and they have a short time to make their money. And, you don't want to infringe on that. So I'm happy to, go and pay a green fee and go whatever, but it wasn't even about paying a green
It
fee.
was a space.
It was space. It was just
Yeah.
like there's, even Sam and I were talking about it. There's VIPs that are, people are reaching out to him and they're trying to for like squeeze times at certain places. There's nothing. I mean, literally, if you want to go and play at 5:30 at night, but we were hoping to play 18. Yes, we could have gone on golf courses and played 9. There was a few courses that we could have, jumped out to or whatever, but it just didn't work out from a time wise.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. I'm excited for them. And I mean, I mentioned it to you. I mean, the NGCOA report came out for June, and PEI was the only province that had gains year over year, and that's for rounds of golf. And I mean, that's a testament to what they've done down there. And it's a small area, and they're doing obviously a lot of promotion, and a lot of people are vacationing on the island. I mean, it was busy. We had to, you know, even going to the beaches, we went away from, which we normally do anyways, away from, the heavy tourist beaches,
Yeah.
the Cavendishes and Brackleys and so forth. But it was even busier than ever at some of the other ones. So, yeah, and I'm excited for them. And I'm certainly not the one, even though people reached out, and thank you to those that did reach out from particular golf courses that, we know, and they said, hey, just let me know or whatever. And I just didn't feel like, squeezing in when they need to
Yeah.
make the revenue, because they had a wet spring, right? They had a wet spring, and they had a slow start. And that's just politeness. It doesn't, and again, like I said, if there had been a spot, I'm happy to pay the green fee and go
Oh, for
out. That's
sure.
not really the case, but yeah,
Yeah.
man, it was
Good
it
for
was it
them
was
though, and I'm glad to
yeah,
hear
that is.
that they're busy and that their rounds are up like that. Because
Hmm.
if you look at the kind of marketing and stuff, and it's not just the relationship that we have with Golf PEI, because we have had
Mm-mm.
a relationship with them for a long time,
Sure.
and they do a lot of marketing with us and
Yep.
promotion, and we reciprocate, with some editorial content and things like that to really promote the place. But it's a great place to vacation. It's a great place to golf vacation.
Yeah.
But if you look at some of the other areas out there, in particular like Nova Scotia, and you have Cabot,
Hmm.
Cabot's busy. I mean, there's no
Sure. Yep.
Cabot's doing what Cabot's doing. They're well sought after green fees
Oh
and
yeah. Through
vacations
the
and stuff
roof.
out there. But it's the rest of Nova Scotia that's
Hmm.
kind of like, I won't say vanishing, but I don't hear and
No.
see as much promotion of the rest of Nova Scotia. And you'd
No.
think that you would want to kind of capitalize on
Hmm.
the fanfare that Cabot gets to try
Yeah.
to promote the rest of it. They used to be much more aggressive with their marketing of
Hmm.
their them as a golf destination than
Yeah.
they
This is
are
going back
now.
20, 25
So
years
I don't
when
know
we
why
did.
that is, whether that's a provincial mandate that they have now where they, they're focusing on other types of tourism and not
Yeah.
golf tourism, but I just don't see any golf tourism
Yeah.
promotion for Nova Scotia anymore.
Yeah, yeah. In general, you don't. I mean, like I said to you before, Fox Harbor is obviously ramping up, with their, second design. They're going to ramp up individually, but from a provincial or a cohesive
Yeah.
side, where everybody gets together from an association and does it. We just don't
Maybe they
see a
don't do
lot.
that anymore. Maybe they don't have
Well,
that group together anymore. Because it used to be the Cabot Trail. You used to have,
right.
you had
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Portage
Yep.
and Bell Bay, and I don't even hear. I mean,
Yep.
Bell Bay is a great golf course. I don't even hear anything about Bell Bay anymore.
Well, new ownership there, new clubhouse there, but again, it's like, there doesn't seem to be the collective there. And what we see from Golf PEI is that it's been sustained, right? And that's been the secret for them,
They
is
work
that
together.
they work together and they've continually done it on a consistent basis. And, no knock on, say, the people from, Golf New Brunswick. They started to do a little bit of a campaign a few years ago, and then they just sort of, kind of fell back a little bit. And I think sometimes it has to do with having advocates within the certain government groups, the tourism structures or so forth. New Brunswick is trying to do some things around their PGA Tour Americas event at Mactaquac, but we don't see a heavy amount. Grant Fraser was down there, and he'll probably have a little bit of a piece coming up for us at some point here on the New Brunswick. But I will tell you, I've been through these areas a lot, and I'm still shocked when I drive past. And I did this time. We took an alternate kind of road, and we were heading south from Miramichi down towards PEI,
Something more
and
scenic through New Brunswick?
we tried. It probably wasn't the best road. It was a little remote. We didn't see a house for 100 kilometers. How's that? We're not talking, not a gas station, not a store. We're not a
Not a
house.
house.
And as soon as we said we had no signal on our phones, no GPS, like
Oh
no like
boy.
GPS obviously you have, but no signal.
Flashbacks of Kentucky or
Oh
Tennessee or
yeah,
whatever it was.
100%. And then the weird thing that I noticed was like, oh, there are no power lines. When you know there's no power lines, like you are remote. But anyways, whatever the case was, we eventually got to Miramichi and headed south. And as we were heading south from there, we literally went by a golf course. And you know me, I mean, my golf radar is always on, looking for
Hmm.
seeing little golf courses because I don't care. I'd love to go play these little golf courses. And we went past this golf course. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it on a map. I've never seen, and then I go back and look at it up, and the course has been around. Now it's very much a country golf course, community golf course, but it's been around since the 1960s, and I've never heard its name
Wow.
ever, ever across the lips of somebody. So, and that's a bit of a problem. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
100%.
it's just unfortunate because really, realistically, there's a few golf courses in PEI that I've not played. Like there's a new little par three course over at Seal Cove and whatever. But at least I know about them and I hear about them.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different. So yeah, that cohesive marketing piece, that's a lesson to be learned for a lot of people, and that's part of the success of why they're doing what they are in PEI.
It's true. It's true. Now, kind of in keeping with that a little bit, golf course rankings.
Mm,
We did our podcast 2 weeks ago that we
yes.
said rankings are rank.
Yes.
Um,
It
and
was good feedback.
that went over. Yeah, we had some great feedback on that one. Thankfully, the majority of the feedback, and I'm going to say the vast majority of the feedback, was that people support us in our position that no
Yeah.
ranking can be authoritative.
Yeah.
Like it's we weren't off. I think really anybody that even does the rankings, whether they're Golf Digest or Score or
Mhm.
whoever it happens to be that's doing some kind of golf course ranking, probably agrees with that
Oh,
as
they
well.
they know that too.
Um,
Yeah,
at
for
the end
sure.
of the day, when the rankings are about eyeballs and clicks and
Hmm.
views and
Yeah.
things like that, then you really just you understand why you're doing them,
Yeah.
and you try to be somewhat as you know um, transparent and politically correct with them as
Yeah.
possible. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they are what they are, and
Yeah, and what's tough though is that you see the rankings came out and whatever rankings they are, but when they published the list of the courses that were almost there and
mhm.
didn't quite
Oh,
make it, and it's like it's sort of a kick in the teeth a little bit, especially when you start to look at those golf courses and maybe they've dropped 50 from where they were before. And then you start to wonder, it's like, okay, we haven't had that many, like for Canada, for an example, we haven't
mhm.
had that many new golf courses. There are some or whatever. So how does a facility drop 50, in a rankings? It's
That's
like, I
pretty
know
significant drop.
it is, yeah, and again, I know it's about points and how close the points are or
Yeah, but
whatever,
come
and
on,
but again, it just looks a little weird, and
it does.
and again, no disrespect to the golf courses, obviously they're going to take advantage of whatever marketing they can when they surge to 84th in the country or whatever the case may be, but
Well,
you
you use
certainly
what you
don't.
got to use, right?
You do, yeah, but it's hard because the confusion for them is all of a sudden when you drop to 120th in the country, how do you go about saying that? How do you go about talking about that? And
Well, that's
also
it.
on the other side of it, I think some of them then maybe take it too seriously because all of a sudden you have some board member who says, "Oh, we dropped to this," and then they're tasking the general manager, going, "Why are we dropping 40th in the country?" Well, it's
Exactly, and
nothing they did.
that is where the problem comes into it is when you read more into it than what they
Correct.
are, and you
Yes.
start to blame people
Yeah, or
for
make
the reason
decisions
why
on
you're
those.
dropping
Yeah.
out of the list. So
Yeah.
first of all, reason why in the future score stop at the 100. Forget about
Yeah.
101 and 102 because you're triggering people. So
Yeah.
don't
100%.
don't do that.
Yeah.
Secondly, GMs, course owners, you've been on that list before and you're no longer on that list.
Hmm.
Don't read anything into it. Don't go
No.
after your staff, wondering why we're not
Yeah.
there anymore, because chances are it
Yeah.
had nothing to do with anything that anybody at your golf course did, and it
Yeah.
solely had something to do with somebody, getting a
In a
little bit more
ranking.
eyeballs or a little
Yeah.
bit better
Exactly.
point
Yeah.
structure on something. Those rankings mean nothing.
Yeah.
Zero.
So I mean, yeah. So trying to make a decision based on that, something that's it's critical. It's not a
Dumb.
it's not a great key performance indicator. So it's like, don't freak out over it or whatever.
Yes.
But understand that, they will vary. But anyways, you're right. Feedback was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was good. It promoted the discussion and we made our point, and I think a lot of people agreed. So
exactly. Now, despite the
yes,
fact
sir.
that you were off at PEI and came back,
Yes.
you yesterday, um, or yesterday. I know when
Yeah.
this podcast is released, it's not yesterday, but
Yeah.
you made the trip up to Ottawa, and
We
where
saw each
we
other for
both
a
had
whole
the
2 minutes.
opportunity to attend. I went over to the PGA Ottawa Zone Championship was played at the Greyhawk Golf Club
Yep.
on the Predator course,
Mhm.
and it's not far away from my house. I made the trip over, watched a bunch of
A little
well,
further
pretty
from
much
my house.
everybody tee off. Got to see Joe and Paula. Got to see Carol
Yes.
Ann. Showed up just as I was. They were wrapping up the last couple of tees. She came over to the tee. She's
Hmm.
looking good with the legs healing well.
Yes. Yeah.
Got to see a lot of balls off the tee, shake some hands, talk to some people, and then after everybody was off, went in, helped get things set up with the scoring, and then you showed up, and I met you in the parking lot. We had a quick chat about your trip. We had a quick chat about some other things, and
Yeah.
then I went home to deal with the technician for the air conditioning unit at my house, and you stuck
Yeah.
around till the tournament was over. So
We're we're
even though
we're
we
like
were both
we're a
there,
wrestling team. You
just
were a wrestling team. We just tagged
yeah,
off, and you
exactly. I
you
handed you
threw
the
me your
golf
cart.
cart, and
Yeah.
you went and took the rest of the reins. But
Yeah.
despite the fact that they lost 9 holes because of crazy storm that went through on day
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
that washed out their back nines
Yes, for the mains.
for the
The
main
seniors
group.
did get 36 in. Yep.
They got full 18 in the second day. Gorgeous day, a little windy, but
It
gorgeous
was.
day, and some crazy low scoring. I mean, that's what Predator can do,
Yes, very much.
because of the 6, 6, and 6.
Yep.
You've got a
Which
lot
I
of birdie
love.
opportunities out there, and when you've got some decent golfers hitting the ball well and some great birdie opportunities, they can score and score. They
Hmm.
did.
Sure, they did. That's for sure. And Craig Stefureak, 12 under par for 27 holes. So
Right, that's
30,
clarify
31,
that.
yeah, 31-65 and 12 under to win. That builds on his repeat win last week at the PGA Championship of Canada where he closed with 61. So this guy, in a matter of short time went whatever 33 under par. Really, really rolling. And
Crazy.
that golf course obviously lent itself well to that, as you said. Dan McNeely played super well, chasing him. Actually, 5 out of the 10 guys in the top 10 were actually seniors that could have played in the main category or played in the senior category, but
I
they played in the
know.
main category. McNeely was, talking a little bit this week, I guess, about, it's tough to keep up with the kids, but obviously, he still pounds it. So,
Oh my God, does he ever move it?
yeah. So, it was great to see that many players under par. And I think it was a great venue. And the fact that there is that scoring down the end, you got that one tough par three, but you've got 3 par 5s and a drivable par four, in the closing. And, I know you and I have always loved playing there. When a member
Yes.
guest there, when you were a member there, you played well there and some club championships. And, it's just a fun golf course. And then as well, Graham Gunn almost gave it away with a bogey on 18
I know how he feels.
regulation. Yeah, yeah,
I know how
you've
he
done that.
feels.
But his playoff was a little bit more successful than
Well, I didn't
yours.
get to the playoff in the
Oh,
club
sorry, you missed the
championship.
playoff.
Sadly,
That's
I made
right.
the bogey on 18 that you're
Yeah,
not supposed to make because it's a reachable par 5, and
yeah.
missed out on the playoff.
Well,
Graham, Graham
Yeah,
fortunately got
yeah,
into the
he
playoff.
did. Yeah, and Roger Beale ended up birdieing 18, almost eagled it, which would have negated a playoff, but it only went a hole for the playoff. Roger hit it about 4 feet. Graham hit it about two. Roger missed his, and Graham made his. So another title for him. But yeah, it was a perfect day out there. Good chance, as you said, to see a lot of the players. Also mentioned Sarah Landry won the women's on the prior day before. Repeat, new mom as well. So a good win by her. And yeah, so some obviously some great play and fun to see everyone and fun to see Carl from the Mint Green Group, Cleveland Zircon Dunlop, and thankfully they obviously support this event, and great to see them out there as well.
Yeah, I had a good chat with Carl when I got there, and he filled me in on some stuff
New
with
product.
respect to the product
Oh,
that Srixon.
yeah,
Now, some of it I was aware of, and some of it I
yeah.
was not. So I can't. There's
Oh, okay.
embargoes, so I can't say too
Yep.
much right now. But it was interesting to hear what's coming down the pipe with them.
Hmm.
And you'll have to wait until after September to learn a little bit
Yes.
more about some of that new stuff. But
Yep. Yep.
great to see their continued support of the zone.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're huge partners and supporters of Mint Green Group and
Hmm.
all of their products, particularly Cleveland and Srixon. And great to see him out there and supporting.
Hmm.
That's good.
Yes.
Now, all the happy.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we do have to switch gears to some sad news. Now, I'm going to leave this one with you to kind
Yeah.
of handle. And but there was some sad news in the golfing world this past
Yeah.
week. And I mean, you can fill people in that unless
Yeah.
you're
One of
living
the
under a rock, you should already know.
yeah, one of the nice things yesterday was Carol Ann had a moment of silence for Matt McQuillan of Kingston, who was relevant to a lot of the players that were there. He knew a lot of the players, especially guys like Lee Curry, who was his teammate on the 2001 Four Nations Cup. They were in Team Canada together, but unfortunately, Matt passed away last week. He just 45, and I was talking to Craig Stefureak, just some DMs early in the week. And obviously, this is a player who's just won the PGA Championship of Canada, and he was just passing on condolences. And he's chasing a dream to go out and kind of play the PGA Tour. And I said, dude, you just got to keep at it and keep going. And Matty was a great example of that. And he's the guy that we've known for since he was a kid. Since he was 10 years old. So this is a tough one. Personally, he's was always like a little brother to me. And he we followed his career all the way up from junior golf, regional golf, was on the cover of Flagstick, Garrison Opens, all those
The
sort of
real
things.
deal.
The real deal for sure. Ascended to obviously being the number one junior in Canada, Team Canada member. Got through, kind of college, then started his pro career, and obviously we remember his early days of pro career because we
Hmm.
spent a lot of time with him, not only just playing rounds of golf, but we'd be in Florida for the PGA show, and we'd often have a game with him, whether it was a Grand Cypress or Falcons Fire, and I'm
Yeah, I
going
remember
back,
the
and
Falcons
I've
Fire one.
yeah, I've had a lot of time in the last few days, obviously, to think about a lot of things, a lot of moments with Matt, and I think of you and I and staying at some dodgy hotel and he came and stayed
Yeah,
with us just because he was down playing a mini tour in Florida, and it's lonely on the road, and he wanted just to hang out with friends and family, so we're like, hey, okay, let's go play a round of golf, and he slept on our floor.
yeah,
And that's what he would do. And he hung out with us and, would go on to obviously, you know, you were gracious enough because your relationship with Andre, who owned Eagle Creek at the time, got Matt his first exemption into playing a
yeah.
Canadian Tour event, which obviously he enjoyed, played well, made the cut. And, it was a big highlight to his career. And I know he was always grateful for that. And then, worked his way up, won Telus Edmonton Open on the Canadian Tour 2005. Uh, Again, continued success, sustained success there. made the big leap in 2010 in December. I was with him at PGA Tour Q School with his mom and his sister, and when he got through and got his card for 2011, and went on to spend a couple years on the PGA Tour and get a T3 at the John Deere Classic. A lot of everybody remember. Just a great dude, and always supportive of what we did at Flagstick. Appreciate our coverage, our friendship, and we just want to offer our sincere condolences to all his friends, all his family, especially his sister Courtney and his dad Mark, who was a good friend of ours as well.
Yeah. Well said, sir. Well said. Um, I don't really have a whole lot to add to this. I mean, it's obviously my relationship with Matt was not as close as yours was with Matt for a number of reasons. Obviously, I kind of came into the picture a little bit later on, but
Yeah.
really liked Matt. I mean, he was such a great kid, very humble, very quiet.
Yes.
The golf aside, I
Hmm.
always look at the person, and the person was an amazing person. And that's really all that matters. That's the
Yep.
legacy that someone like Matt leaves is, yes, he's from the golf community. We know him and respect him from that perspective, but knowing him a little bit closer than that, I know the kind of person that Matt was, and that's what I take
Yeah.
from it. That's my memory of him, is the kind of person he was, not just the golfer that he was. So,
100%.
again, sincere condolences, all the friends and family of Matt, and obviously Courtney and Mark. We feel for you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. Um, all right. On that note, I think we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get into the playoffs. Which can always be an interesting conversation as well.
For sure.
Stay with us. You're listening to and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
The wind is gusting so hard right now.
The moment is at hand for JJ Spawn.
Let's go, JJ!
This is perfect pitching back into the breeze.
Go get it, Keegan.
It's good when everything depends on it.
A winner again.
It's good when it's Z-Star.
All right, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast. I'm Jeff Botter. He's Scott McLeod. I always say that. Nothing's
I
ever
know.
changed. It's never
I
been
know.
I'm Jeff Botter and by myself. It's never been I'm Scott McLeod. It's never been I'm Jeff Botter and this is somebody else completely. Maybe we'll just throw somebody for a loop sometime. We'll have like a guest host sitting in one of the
Well,
chairs there, and
I mean,
just
you
like,
used to do that in the 613 when you had that. I mean, you were doing that
yes.
solo, and I guessed it a few times or whatever. So
Yeah, well, yeah. This has been going on for 182 episodes. Why would I change it now?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's get to our back nine because we want to talk playoffs. Back nine presented by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at great rates. Falcon Ridge is a golf experience that you do not want to miss. Don't forget also Trackman Range facility at Falcon Ridge. They built the first one. And the Trackman Range is all about exciting, easy to use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice games and virtual golf. To book tee times or to book one of the Trackman Range bays, 10 of them, visit falconridgegolf.ca. Okay. Without further ado, as we
Hmm.
alluded to and discussed in the front nine, it's playoff time.
Yes, sir. On the PGA Tour. The PGA
On the
Tour.
PGA
Just to
Tour.
let people know.
It's not that we are not excited about the playoffs, but it's not the NHL playoffs.
No, it
It's
is
not the
clearly
NFL
not.
playoffs. It's the golf playoffs. Which is it really playoffs?
Yeah,
Like
well,
there's always
it's a
going to be
whole
the
other
question,
discussion,
right?
I guess.
There's a lot of areas that we can go down with respect to the playoffs, but the primary area that we're going to go down right now, because it's
Mhm.
happening this week,
It is what
the
it is.
St. Jude, is who's in it,
Yep.
who's the favorites,
Yep.
and who's not in it.
Yeah,
And
even
then we
better.
can kind of, as we go through
Yeah.
that stuff, we can kind of get into why is it, why does
Yeah.
it exist,
Man, and it's so.
Are they going to
so
ever change it? Yes, they
Yeah.
are. But when?
Oh well, here's
What's it
the
going to
thing.
look like?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that's going to change. I mean, here's the thing. We're just wrapped up the Wyndham, right?
Mhm.
Now the Wyndham, like literally, I just got a press release right through because the Wyndham will change in 2028 to the Raymond James Championship, and it will be part of the Championship Series. So that's a whole other discussion that we'll get to at some point as far as the new tiers and everything like that in
Oh, so it won't be the
2028.
Wyndham anymore.
It will not be the Wyndham.
Is it
Obviously,
still going to be at Sedgefield?
apparently, yes. But they're just calling it the Greensboro area event. But Raymond James obviously coming in with a much bigger
Money, and that
bigger
jumps it
money,
up.
which is they going to need to be in that championship series. They want to keep it in that community. I had heard rumors of that, but it was confirmed by the PGA Tour just moments ago that they will be the sponsor for this PGA Tour Championship Series event. So multi-year deal. But yeah, we don't know kind of how that will play out and all these different things for 2028. But for now, we'll focus on 2026 and what we have lying right in front of us.
Do you know what I found really interesting on the weekend? I'm
What's
sitting
that?
there watching the Wyndham
Yeah.
at times on Saturday and Sunday with with Brandon.
Yep.
And I'm talking about, obviously the fact that we played
Sure. Yeah.
Sedgefield and we played it, all the way back.
Yep.
And you know what that was like for me.
Long.
And I'm sitting there talking to Brandon. I was like, this golf, I said, I played really well. I said, I shot in the 70s. I said, I think it was 78 or 79.
Yeah, it was
I said,
78. I have the scorecard someplace.
And I said, I was really proud of myself because I said, this golf course is a friggin' beast.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I say that, and
Yeah,
and you're already knowing,
laughing.
We're sitting there watching this telecast, and every single player is like, this golf course, it's not overly long.
Yeah.
You gotta pick your spots, and every time they said it's not overly long, Brandon looked at me and I said, I thought you said it was a beast.
Okay.
I said, okay, relatively speaking, I said, I at the most might crank one at that time.
Yeah.
Maybe 280.
Okay. Understand though, we played it in October.
Yes.
When it was soft and wet,
Mm-hmm.
and they are playing it in the heat of summer when the golf ball, and you can watch it when
I'm looking at where their ball is on 18.
Yeah, I know. And you look at it from just the roll perspective. I mean, it's a way different animal from than when we played it. Yes. And they will do some renovations and things to this golf course, but certainly conditions matter. And you're right. I mean, these guys
you were down the hill on 18.
Yeah, but these guys
I was not down the hill on 18.
No. But these guys were shooting 61s and 62s because, the greens were fairly soft, even though they had a lot of slope to them. But yes.
I appreciate you having my back there.
I do what I can. I can't help you on some of those par threes.
That's why. It was just funny because I'm going on and on about how this golf course was a beast. It wasn't that bad for Scott because he hits it longer. I said, oh my God, I was like driver 3-wood, driver hybrid, driver 4-iron.
Yeah.
I was hitting driver on par threes. It was crazy. And then they're going, well, the golf course is not overly long. Okay.
No. And that's the thing. People have to realize, when the PGA Tour generally plays a golf course, they're playing at its peak time and conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to play differently whenever you get to play it. And if they're playing it in those peak conditions all the time, they're getting 30, 40, 50 yards a roll sometimes. And that makes a big difference in how this golf course plays. So, that said, we're on to St. Jude and, the FedEx, and we got, 70 players now that make the playoffs. And, for some of them, they didn't make the playoffs after the Wyndham, and that's a pretty wild list when you look at it.
Well, it's interesting. I would say about talking about who's in, who's not. Well, who's in? Okay, well, I think everybody knows who's in. Aside from the ones at the bottom, maybe.
Yeah,
but it's probably more interesting and as to who's not, and the one that tops the list of not would have to be Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously coming back to the tour from Live, getting that, not able to get as many starts maybe as he wanted, playing well at some points, but this is a guy who's a 5-time major championship winner. So you automatically think, oh, top 70, no big deal. Guess what? If your putter doesn't work very, very well.
And it hasn't.
No, and he only had one top 10 in 16 starts, and looked good at times, but looked terrible at other times when he was around the green. And man, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a five-time major champion, you got to perform here and now.
Well, what's probably the most interesting thing with Brooks Koepka is to listen to Brooks Koepka, because
Yes.
I don't know that other players would be as brutally honest
Honest. Yeah.
about themselves.
Yes.
And this is one of the things about Brooks Koepka. When he made the jump to live,
Hmm.
everybody knew why he made the jump,
Sure.
because he not just because they knew why he did it, because he told them why he did it.
Yes,
He
exactly.
was
Yeah.
totally transparent about the
Yeah.
money side of it and all that kind of thing. When he made the jump back, there was zero complaining.
Nope.
There was, okay, that's the window is open, that's the rules. Boom, I'm paying this, I'm doing this, I'm sitting
Yep.
out of this, I'm not taking that, I'm coming back to the PGA Tour. Boom, just came back, did it. He
Yep.
knew, he followed the rules, and here he is, and you have to respect that.
Yes.
100% you have to respect that. I do not respect any of the other guys that are trying to find backdoor ways in,
Yes.
complain about why they're not there. Because
Yeah.
frankly, I'm sorry. You might have been a top player on the PGA Tour when you left. You are not
Sure.
a top player on the PGA Tour now. I don't care if you come back. I don't care if John Rahm ever plays another PGA Tour event. I don't care if Bryson DeChambeau ever plays another P. He
Yeah,
doesn't
there's
move
life
the
without him.
needle.
Yeah,
He
there's
doesn't
life
move the
without him.
needle.
Yeah.
They're doing just great. And there's so many, like, this is what we talked about when this all happened. We said, what's going to happen is opportunities are going to be created for
Yeah.
other players.
Sure.
Now you got Koiven,
Hmm.
you've got Brennan.
Brennan. Yep.
I mean, these guys are good
Yep.
players, like
For
really
sure.
good,
There's
that would
tons of them out
not
there.
be getting opportunities
Yep.
had those guys had the opportunity to flip flop back and forth or come back whenever they feel like.
Yep.
And now these guys, I'm sorry, but these
Yep.
guys are the next wave. They're going to be better than the DeChambeaus and the Dustin Johnsons
Possibly.
and the John Rahms and the whatever.
Yeah.
They're good players, and they're
Hmm.
showing that. So not good riddance to those guys, but if you gotta try to make a case for yourself to come back because you feel like you're owed something, you're owed nothing.
Yeah.
Zero. You're owed nothing.
No, and like you said, I think Brooks is a great example of that. He was willing to be the first alternate and sit on the sidelines and wait to get in. And also, as you said, he needed a solo fourth place finish at the Wyndham to get all the way through. Tied for 67th, and then basically said, "Hey, you know what? It's pretty pathetic." And so he knows he has to do some work. So, and there's other ones that didn't get through as well. And there are reasons. There are distinct reasons for that. Putter for him, and then we get to somebody like Jason Day who finished 82nd. I mean, this guy had an 18-year streak of making the playoffs. Pretty
it's
consistent. Yeah, but all of a sudden you have health issues, recurring back injuries, you start to miss cuts early in the year. It's a short window. I mean, it's a short window, and you have to perform well, and you have to perform well early, and you can't put yourself with your back against the wall, because frankly, as much as you can try and gain, the other players are trying to gain at the same time.
Mhm.
So it becomes harder and harder. So unless you get those finishes in the bank early, and if you're not playing early and you're having troubles early, I mean, golf's meritocracy. This is what it's about, and this is part of the reason why it's good. We like this as
Yes.
opposed to the other model that you're talking about, where people are just getting automatic money or whatever. Here's the thing. I mean, these guys get, we'll call it relegated, and they still have cards, but they're not in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's all because of how they played, how the other players played, but that's how it is. There's no guarantees. And I think when you have guaranteed money and spots based on past performances, you only should have a limit. You should have a limit to that, right?
Yeah.
And then you should have to then have to earn it, keep earning. And that's why golf is great, and that's why we've seen great players sort of disappear, because they haven't had the performances, be it like a Jason Duffner or somebody like that, who was like high up there for a while and then sort of disappeared. And again, you start to look at the players. I mean, Keegan Bradley,
Yeah.
74th.
Yeah, and here's a guy that was went through all of the stuff last year with with being the Ryder Cup captain
Mhm.
and being a playing captain potentially, and playing as well as he did coming down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
And he's, out. Now, he's out by 4 spots, but
Yeah. But still.
shouldn't really even be an issue for Keegan Bradley. He should be well inside the top 70 by the time we get around to the end of the season. But like you just said, you've got to be consistent, year after year after year to make the playoffs. And it's not about Keegan Bradley's going to have a PGA Tour card.
Yeah.
But as are others that did not make the top 70, they'll have spots on the PGA Tour next year. They're just not in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100 that are secure, but it's a chance to, to win the Tour Championship. It's a chance to earn more money. It's a chance to earn spots into signature events for next year. It's a lot of different things. And, again, it comes back to, and I'm sure they're reflecting right now, and they're reflecting on what could I have done better during the year. And some of them, they'll probably say, oh, there was other things that happened in my life and I was busy or this. Obviously, Bradley said, he had a little bit of a hangover from the last year in the Ryder Cup and so forth. And, he probably took a little bit more time for himself and his family, which he's got the right to do after a very, very busy, kind of 2 years.
But
with the Ryder Cup
this is what happens. Is you've earned the right to do that.
Yes, but there are consequences.
There are consequences. Exactly. Yeah. There's always repercussions to the choices that you make, and that's it's what the thing is with golf. And you mentioned, the way golf is you have to earn it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you can go out and you can make tons of money and you can keep your card and win majors and you've got a spot for 5 years and all this stuff. But if you want to play, at the end of the year in this format, the way it is right now, you have to perform year after year. Those exemptions get you nothing when it comes to the playoffs.
They give you opportunities, as far as some of the different things.
But if you don't capitalize on those opportunities, there's no guarantee that they'll give you a spot in a signature event, which gives you an opportunity to make points and get in the top 70. But if you don't perform, then you get nothing out of it anyway.
Well, what I think it's interesting is when people all of a sudden, maybe they do well and they have a couple of hot weeks and they're getting a lot of press and a lot of people hear their names. So they sort of think, oh, they're perfectly fine and they're into it. But then you start to realize that, if they didn't do well for the rest of the year, that all of a sudden it does add up. And I mean, Billy Horschel would be a great example there. There's a guy who's won the FedEx Cup before, but he missed 10 cuts in 23 starts this year.
Can't miss 10 cuts.
You can't miss 10 cuts. I mean, it's just, you've got to perform either consistently and you have to shine bright in a few weeks to really capitalize and and we'll see that in the players who made it. They did well and had hot streaks for, a few weeks, but it was more than a few weeks. It was like, it wasn't just one event. You can win a nice big check and finish, we'll go back to, who we mentioned earlier with McQuillan when he was on tour. I mean, he tied third at that John Deere, but he lost his card. He ended up with conditional status for the next year. So you can play really well and get a lot of publicity in a short period of time, but you've got to sustain it and you've got to have continued play. So
you look at Koivu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he barely made it.
He had a top 10, I think, a top 10 or a top 5 the week before he won that event. Yep. And he just basically had to, had to not win, but just got in, and it was like you're watching the ticker, which he
sat on his hands. He was
just squeaked in, and that's someone who won and had a couple of top 10s.
Right, exactly. No,
still no guarantee to get into the top 70,
I mean, he
right?
he did it in like 8 starts, right? Because he was late to the tour. But I mean, you're right. I mean, here's winning and you're finishing 70th. And that has to do a lot to the parity on the tour, and it shows you how hard it is, to do that. He had to win to do that. So
I felt bad for Bo Hostler. Not because like, at the end of the day, you're a golf professional. You control your own destiny because you're playing yourself. You're not playing other people. The sad part for him, I felt, was the way that things went down on the 3rd round, where they got pulled off the golf course, then put back out, hit a shot, get pulled off the golf course again, get back out. And it really, when he had it kind of going, and then it really can break up your rhythm if you don't manage the return. And he didn't really come back after the delays and get after it, and then it didn't. Nothing really.
No, and
he didn't
that's
play
why
badly, and he did not
No.
play badly on Sunday. He played great on Sunday, but Brennan played just a smidgen or 10 better.
And that's why it's always hard. I mean, we say it when we run our events, and we run a 36-hole event, and it's technically 4 9-hole rounds, and you got to play with the thought in your brain that something could get washed out. So you have to play and push early on. You can't just kind of cruise. So same thing, guys can sit there and reflect on how they played at the Wyndham, but they have to go back and reflect on what happened the rest of the year, because very often one stroke early on the year probably made a difference for some of these players. That could have been the difference of a cut made, and where they could have made enough money and enough points to have propelled them into this top 70.
Yeah. Now taking a look at the top 70, it's pretty impressive list of players that are in the top 70. Obviously, with Scheffler at the top, Fitzpatrick, Cameron Young, Wyndham Clark, and then you've got your McIlroy, Schauffele's, Fleetwood, Matsuyama, Goddard, Siwoo Kim.
Yeah,
this is going to be a really, excited to see Ricky Fowler in there. I don't know why I continue to just root for this guy. I just, he's giving me every reason not to root for him, but then he gives me good reasons to root for him. Sure. But
again, he's doing it from a merit standpoint, right? The thing is, you can't knock him because the way he performed. Like, he obviously fell down, but he's obviously returning at the right time and doing it, when he has to get in there at, whatever he was, around 35th or so. He's stepping on the gas like he's supposed to do if you're going to make that top 70, and he's been on the other side of that. And he's felt that sting. So for him to realize, okay, maybe I need to not cruise, maybe I got lots of money in the bank, but what do I want to be as a player? Do I want to keep playing on the tour? Do I want to keep winning trophies? Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to have to go back and do some work.
Yeah, exactly. Now if we go down the list, there's some notable names. I love Harry Hall. I love that guy. I love that hat. Love that look. Yella Marju and Connors are in there.
Yeah, Nick Taylor.
Taylor.
And Sudarshan, Yella Marju. That's obviously his first time making the playoffs.
Yeah,
57th, and there's a classic example of a guy who had a big run early on in the year. Obviously played really well at the Players Championship. There was a period of time there where he was just cashing some big checks, and that's what you need to do if you've got momentum.
If you're cashing big checks, then that means you're also racking up points.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not cashing checks, there's a good chance that there's not a lot of points going in the FedExCup points.
No, and yes, you know what? He may have struggled a little bit more of late, and you can't sustain all that play all year long. I mean, obviously those top 10 guys are really sustaining their play consistently, but that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
But you've got life now, and you've got just as much chance of getting, when you're in the playoffs, now you have just as much chance with the system as it is right now.
Yeah.
You've got as much chance to win it as anyone else and make the big money and really set up your seasons ahead, especially if you can win the championship. So, I guess it's a little bit of a kick in the ass for these guys when all of a sudden, you haven't been playing well, and it's like, okay, now I need to go. Now I need to really make things happen in the next few weeks, and not even just the next few weeks. I need to do it this week.
Yeah.
Because
especially
I need
the
to
guys
make it
that
to
are
the
outside
next
the
week.
50.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's that spot. Top 50 make it to the BMW Championship. So if you're in that 50 to 70, I mean, you need to move up.
Yeah, and you need to move up fast. So obviously, I think we know Scheffler's the favorite.
That's easy.
Now being the favorite
doesn't guarantee
fine.
anything.
Yes, you're the favorite. That's great and everything.
You just won the President's Cup.
Let's look at the way Scottie Scheffler has played throughout the year. It hasn't been visually the best season for Scheffler. It seems that has been somewhat inconsistent, but I think too the inconsistencies are being kind of overshadowed a little bit, or not overshadowed, but they're being blown up a little bit because he's not winning, and you're not always in control of winning.
No,
the other players in the field can somewhat control their own destiny as well. So even if Scheffler's playing good, which might have been good enough to win last year, someone else might be playing better. So I think we can't look at the fact that not every year is a player going to have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 wins.
Oh God, no,
I mean,
no.
even
It's
Tiger
rare.
didn't do it all the
Yeah.
time.
No, it's rare, that's for sure. But that consistency for him is all really comes down to that striking.
Yes.
He's that, first in strokes gained consistently. Those approaches, the tee to green. I mean that's where he just gains and gains and gains, and it's death by 1,000 cuts for everyone else.
Yeah.
So
So the
as a
reflecting
result of it.
pool liner.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, that's where he ends up kind of on the top. So, that's the thing. I mean, he's just right where he's at, as far as, skill level, and that just continues to be able to perform. So, it's easy. I mean, as we say, he's the safe bet, obviously, every single week, for the next 3 weeks,
Yeah.
because, at number one right now, it's highly unlikely. It's possible, but it's highly unlikely that he will drop out of that top 30 that will go on to East
But he
Lake.
doesn't
So
get the advantage this year.
he does not. So that I think that is, I think for us that makes it a little bit more exciting, because we don't see those strokes advantage that you automatically get, that handicap, that net championship. So he has to perform, and that might have played in as well to McElroy, who we talked about a little bit before we got on air. It's just he wasn't really fully intending to play, and then now he is playing. Maybe he sat back too and looked at that and go, well, you know what? I don't have a 9-stroke advantage. I'm going to have to get on my horse and play, because the playoffs used to be 4 events, now they're 3. So if you want to make it all the way to East Lake, you're going to probably have to do something in the next couple of events.
Interesting that the points get you to East Lake.
Yes.
And then they don't matter anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
Does that not seem kind of, I don't know. And this is where you talk about the format of this. And I don't know what the powers that be is sitting in a room trying to come up with this garbage, but it's just really stupid.
It's hard to come up with something everybody's going to like.
You come up with a point structure that gets you into the top 70. And then that same point structure gets you through the top 70, through the top 50, through the top 30. But then once you get to the top 30, now it's just a regular golf tournament for the Tour Championship and the FedExCup Championship. It just feels to me like something, and I think that this is where you look at what might come about in 2028, which we'll talk about, that something as drastic is going to change to the way that this format is done. Because it just doesn't, I have always felt like once you get to the top 70, that your points get you there, and then there's no points anymore. And now it's just your top 70 play, and then at the end of that tournament, the top 50 from that tournament move on to the next tournament, and then the top 30 from that tournament move on to the next tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's just it's all for yourself, because the guy that's 70th, the chances, what they have to do to get from 70th to 50 and move on is pretty, they have to do something pretty impressive to move up that many spots, even with the extra points and the structure that happens once you get to the playoffs. It just doesn't seem like it's realistic enough that enough players can make that move. Whereas if you get there and you're 70th, okay, I'm 70th, I squeaked in. Now you finish in the top 10. Yeah. Or in the top 50, you should move on. But if you finish in the top 50 in the St. Jude, and you were 70th to start with, you're not moving.
Yeah, well, I think what we like or should like about playoffs is volatility, right? I mean, if we want to make it exciting, it shouldn't be just based on fairness or cumulative success.
Yeah,
it should be about the here and the now, much like it is in many other sports.
Well,
where
that's
it's like,
that's what playoffs are.
You win, or you have to win and move on. And we don't fully know what's going to play out in 2028. We know there are going to be changes to the format. We know there might be some match play, but that could be postseason not included in the playoffs. You know what I mean? That could be. We don't know that for sure right now. But obviously they're going to look to to do some things that will make it maybe a little bit more volatile, because I think players are understanding that, and I think the tour is understanding as well, is that that's part of what the fans want. And I think for a while there, the tour was more about, okay, what's our TV partners want, and you know what I mean, because they were worried about, oh, we got to make sure the stars are there. Well, make sure the stars earn it, right? It's just as much of an exciting story if, we're talking about Jackson Coyban. He's sitting at 70th. He won, he played in 8 events. I'd love to see this guy go up and win the whole thing. I mean, that's a cool story. You know what I mean? It's an easy story if Scheffler and stuff goes there, but it can be just as much exciting and prepare things for the future if somebody that's further down ends up having great success because they played particularly well to get through. And you're right, that's what the playoff should be about. It shouldn't be about just predictable results. It's like, you need to perform here and now.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Sure.
Playoff format. Regular season finishes.
Yeah.
Okay. Top 64 from the regular season. Okay. Top 64. Regular season finish. Top 64 players in points.
Yep.
Move on to the playoffs.
Okay. I see where you're going with this, because I know how this sets up.
First week, St. Jude.
Yeah.
64 players in the field. Match play. 1 versus 64, so on. Normal 36 hole match play. So 2 days.
Sure.
Thursday, Friday.
Okay. Talk to me.
After the first 2 days,
yep,
the field is reduced to 32.
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, 32 players left.
Okay.
End of the weekend, you've got 16 players left in the playoffs. So
you're playing, you're just going from 32 to 16?
You're basically, because you're going 64 to 32 after the first day, 36 holes. So you're going 64 to 32 after the first 2 days. Then 32 to 16 after this next 2 days.
Okay.
So you're 36 holes.
Oh, okay. So you're 2 36-hole match. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then you have 16. So then what do you do?
So then you go to the next week, BMW. 16 players. 36 holes on Thursday, or 36 holes Thursday, Friday. So 18 each day.
Oh, you're talking about all match play?
All match play. Then you reduce it to 8.
Okay.
And then you go on to Saturday, Sunday, 36 holes again, 18. And you reduce your 8 to 4.
So then you're talking about having 4 play for the Tour Championship?
4 play for the Tour Championship, 36 hole matches Thursday, Friday, and then your final 2 play on Saturday and Sunday for the overall championship at Eastlake. I know it seems extreme, but that is pure playoff.
I know, but I would like to
see head.
I would like to see a combination of maybe the two, because I just think the only issue that maybe we get into is that, again, we still have to think about, we still have to think TV and all that other stuff.
Yeah, but your TV is going to be the same. You're just going to be following one group instead of bouncing all over the course. You're still the same amount of time.
The only problem is all of a sudden if you get 2 blowout matches.
Well, they're 36 hole matches, so you're at least going from one day to the next day. I know what you're saying. Match play is tougher for TV because you can't blanket it into a window.
Because we do see that a little bit. I don't know if we have enough volatility sometimes with the matches. I think if we had I'd love the first couple weeks would be match play, but I would like to see stroke play near the end, just so that a case of somebody
have it get down to stroke play for the Tour Championship.
That's what I mean.
Somehow,
that's what I mean.
Just so that they're playing. You have whoever's left. Maybe it's the top 32 are left. For the Tour Championship, and they go stroke play for the Eastlake. You got to play off. You got to have a playoff where guys are eliminated.
And I have no problem if it came down to 4 or 8 for the Tour Championship at stroke play, because I'd like to see the case of if somebody makes an 8 on a hole, that it matters, as opposed to just losing a hole, that it actually can change the course of the entire match.
In early, instead of having 64, let the next level of 16 in. Let more players into the playoffs. Maybe it's even a case of your 100. Maybe that whole idea of you play to earn your card comes back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you play to earn your card, and it's, 64. What's the next one up from 64? 16 more players. So you're looking at, um, oh my
Yeah,
God,
you're gonna have
brain cramp.
offshoots. You're gonna have
Yeah,
offshoots there or whatever. So
90.
I mean, yeah. So maybe you have maybe you're protecting the top. Maybe you protect the top 32 and the 64 play down to 32, and then that 32 goes against the other 32.
Yeah,
But yeah, I do.
I just like the idea of a playoff
Yes,
being a head to head.
yeah, yeah,
Let's go. Let's get
yeah.
after it.
I do like do like the urgency of that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's the fun part when you do watch the U.S. Amateur in some of the matches, and the U.S. Women's Amateur, U.S. Amateur on, this week is seeing those matches where it's like you got to win,
Yeah.
or to move on, or
It's the
else it's
purest
just.
form of golf. Like you
I
gotta
agree. Yeah,
incorporate it in there somehow.
yeah.
And
I'm going to
maybe
be
it's
very
easier to
curious.
incorporate it when there's more players because you
Hmm.
can stretch your TV time, and
Yeah,
then you make it about stroke play once you get down to a smaller field, so you can
yeah,
stretch your TV time.
yeah.
There's guy maybe they're thinking
I'm game
about
with that.
this.
Yeah,
They can
we'll
call me if
find
they
out.
want to get my opinion. I'm happy to lend it free of charge. Um, okay. We got about 5 minutes left here, about 3 minutes
Sure.
before I gotta wrap up. But we do know that in 2028 that the playoff is going to change. The playoff format is going to change. We do know
Yep.
that the whole FedExCup playoff format is with the
Yep.
new format coming in.
And
The
chances
two
are it's not going to be FedEx.
Exactly. It's a two-tier model that's coming in. You're going to have
Yeah.
the championship and the challenger series if they stick with those names. Boy, they're not very good names. But there's going to be a completely different format introduced in the 2027-28 season. So out with FedEx, in with whatever is coming. They're talking about match play. Is it going to be in the playoffs? Is it going to be somehow in the season?
Yeah.
Rotating venues. The Tour Championship will no longer just be at Eastlake.
Apparently.
It'll rotate amongst some of the more prestigious courses that the Tour hasn't previously visited.
Or talked to, it seems, based
Yeah.
on some of the stories that we heard. And that could be helpful when it comes to things like match play, because that might give you more access to some of those courses if you're having match play on it and you're not dominating the golf course for a long
Yes.
period of time. So
Exactly.
yeah.
We do know that the postseason, there's going to be some kind of recognition for the season-long regular season championship, like there used to have a moneyless champion before,
Mhm.
once the season was over. But now we're going to have a different format. So I like the fact that we're going to be introduced to something new. I'm curious to see exactly what that becomes, and if
Yeah.
they actually listen to everything that everybody is saying, like us and like
Mhm.
so many others around the world saying you
Yeah.
should try this, you should try this, if they're taking all of that into account and not just sitting in a room thinking they know what's best.
No, I think they are listening to a lot of stakeholders. What's been interesting, and just go back to that press release that just got here, is that championship versus challenger series, and we did a whole podcast talking about the changes and levels and so forth. But what's very interesting about that is what's playing out right now is seeing where sponsors are coming forward, because originally what we heard was the tour was like, okay, we're going to go to other big cities and so forth. Well, guess what, you can't turn your back on places that have traditionally have events for a long time, because they have a heritage. It's a lot easier to build on that than build on something brand new. So Greensboro is a historic area where your Sam's needs have won 8 times and so forth, but it's a matter of, can you get the money together in those particular areas to keep those at that championship level. So I would say at the start of the year, I wouldn't have looked ahead and said, oh, Wyndham, Greensboro, which is a small market, was going to be able to step up and put themselves in a position to have a championship series event, knowing that the purses were going to be huge and that it was going to require the sponsor to put up a lot of money. And here we go, Raymond James is stepping up and going to make this one of the big events. And basically what you're making it is on the same level as what you see now in the signature series event. So that's going to be a curiosity. I mean, obviously we're still super curious of what's going to happen with the Canadian Open and so forth, but now we're starting to see some announcements, we're starting to see some things play out, and I think that's where things get a little bit more interesting for us, because we're going to hear more about the playoffs soon, I'm sure.
100%.
And some concrete stuff, and that's going to give us more to debate or discuss whether we think it's a good idea or a bad idea.
And there we leave it.
All right.
We talked playoff. Now we have to talk getting out of here before our time runs up. But it's been good. Thank you, obviously, to our sponsors, Metcalfe Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and our presenting sponsors this week, Srixon Golf. Whether you're looking for a premium urethane option, the Z-Star Series, a quality budget option, a soft deal, or somewhere in between the 2 stars, Srixon Golf is bound to present an option that will work for your game. Visit Srixon.ca. Well, we do hope that you've been hopefully enjoying watching and hearing what we've been bringing you. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget the YouTube channel. Like us and click the notification bell. Do not miss a single episode. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day, and subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter free of charge 3 times a week direct to your inbox. As always, appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I am Jeff Potter.
And I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stay.